Kazakhstan is the birthplace of the apple. High in the mountain gorges that reach into the sky grows the ancestor of all apples. It is the Sivers apple, a true symbol of our country. With its rich fragrance, the Sivers apple is believed to be the forefather of every apple on earth. A fruit with remarkable healing properties, it has survived millions of years of ice ages and nature's toughest challenges. Sivers apples come in many varieties. Some are deep red and sweet as honey, while others are yellowish with a slightly tart taste. Some are small, almost like buds, while others are no different from modern orchard apples. Every variety of Sivers, the foundation of the Almaty port, is rich in health benefits.
The Sivers apple is a wild apple species. It is considered the ancestor of all cultivated apple varieties on Earth. This has been scientifically and genetically proven. This is an endangered species in Kazakhstan, and Kazakhstan is the only place where it still grows as a natural forest. It's part of Kazakhstan's natural heritage and one of the unique genetic resources recognized internationally. The Sivers apple is our greatest treasure. It's not only a symbol of Sarkhan district, but also of the Zhetysu region and Kazakhstan as a whole.
Well, Sivers apple is a very unique, because this is where apples started, essentially, and then they took over the world. Pretty much majority of the modern apples come back to Sivers. And of course the valley, when the trees are blooming, are wonderful. I haven't been in Japan yet to see the sakura, but I think it's about the same rank event.
When spring arrives, the foothills of Zhetysu are suddenly covered in pink blossoms. This short-lived spectacle draws tourists, scientists, and photographers from around the world each year. The untouched beauty of the valley delights its visitors, captivates them with its scenery, and fills the air with a fragrance that lingers in memory.
Жалпы Сивер самасы біздің Қазақстан аумағында өсетін, табиғи түрде өсетін.
The Sivers apple, scientifically known as Malus sieversii, grows naturally in southeastern Kazakhstan. It's found mainly in the Жоңғар-Алатау and Или-Алатау mountain ranges, as well as on their slopes.
Жоңғар-Алатауында, Іле-Алатауы және де сол таулардың беттерінде орналасқан жерлерде кездеседі. Жалпы Сивер салмасы өзінің ерекшеліктері өте көп.
The Sivers apple has many unique features. As I mentioned, it possesses remarkable genetic diversity, adapts well to different climates, and shows strong resistance to diseases and pests. It's one of our most valuable genetic resources.
Цветение яблони Сиверса происходит где-то в середине.
The Sivers apple typically blooms from mid-April to early May, depending on weather conditions. That is why, since 2018, the national park has hosted the Sivers Apple Blossom Festival during the flowering season. Visitors come from abroad to see it for themselves. The Sivers apple blossom is often compared to cherry blossoms. It is a truly beautiful natural spectacle.
Это очень красивое явление природное.
Well, first of all, I was coming to the festival with open mind, and I was completely blowing off in a really good way. Everything was beautiful, and of course, well, the blooming of Sivers apple trees were incredible, or are incredible right now.
The number of visitors to the park grows every year. For example, last year we welcomed more than 7,000 tourists, including over 70 international visitors. Most of them come specifically to see the Sivers apple in bloom.
This is the first time international artists have come here to paint the blooming Sivers apple trees. Artists from Turkey, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan have joined us. Kazakh artists are also taking part, capturing this unique flowering season on canvas. We are very happy to see such interest and hope that in the future artists from even more countries will visit us.
Kazakistan'da ilk defa bulunuyorum. Buraya Sivers Elma Ağacı Festivali için geldim.
This is my first time in Kazakhstan. I came here for the Sivers Apple Blossom Festival. We've been taking part in a workshop and symposium for the past week.
Resimleri çalışıyordum. Burada ilk defa Sivers Elma Ağacı çalıştım.
For the last 10 years in Turkey, I've been painting the Tree of Life. Here for the first time, I painted the Sivers apple tree. I absolutely love these apple trees. They were beautiful. I painted their blossoms again and again. I really enjoyed Kazakhstan. We worked surrounded by nature in a truly authentic setting. There were 6 artists together from 6 different countries.
Burası bizim ata yurdumuz olduğu için
I've attended workshops in many parts of the world, but this is my first visit to Kazakhstan. Since this is the homeland of our ancestors, I felt very much at home here. I was deeply impressed by the traditions, the customs, and people's close connection to nature. Painting outdoors helped us capture everything as it truly was, and that inspired our art as well. The people were warm and sincere, and they welcomed us with great hospitality. They introduced us to every traditional dish. Such genuine care and attention made me very happy to be here.
But life in this valley is not limited to the spring bloom of fruit trees. Once the apple trees begin to set fruit, another remarkable world comes alive on the mountain slopes. The tireless movement of thousands of bees is closely linked to the life of these wild trees. One man who has been watching this extraordinary connection for years is beekeeper Maksud Shamsudinov. My story began 9 years ago when I decided to take up beekeeping. Bees had always fascinated me because they have their own world, their own way of life. There is a queen bee, the mother of the colony. There are drones, the males, and there are worker bees. Each has its own role. Some guard the hive, others collect nectar and make honey. That whole process fascinated me, so I became a beekeeper. That is also why I moved to a place like this. I spent a long time searching for the right location. For bees to thrive, you need the right elevation, warm air, and protection from strong winds. Mountain valleys are especially important for healthy bee colonies. I live in a village, but my apiary is about 20 kilometers away. Every day I ride there on horseback. From morning until evening I do the usual work of a beekeeper, checking larvae, inspecting hives, and monitoring the condition of the colonies. On average, one bee colony produces around 40 to 45 kilograms of honey in a season. The relationship between wild apples and bees is one of the most important parts of the valley's natural balance. When the Sivers apple blossoms, bees do far more than collect nectar. By carrying pollen from one tree to another, they help create new generations of these unique apples.
Здесь очень обильное произрастание дикой яблони.
Wild apple trees grow here in great abundance. This has a very positive effect on the development of bee colonies. When the apple trees bloom well, the honey harvest is also very good. At the same time, bees provide an enormous benefit to the wild apple trees through pollination. As bees fly from one blooming tree to another, pollen sticks to their legs. When they land in the next tree, they transfer that pollen, allowing cross-pollination to take place. This plays a crucial role in the flowering and reproduction of the apple trees. Apple trees cannot effectively pollinate themselves, so bees are essential. They provide a tremendous benefit to these wild orchards. At first glance, it may look like just another wild apple tree, but the Sivers apple has preserved the genetic foundation of the modern cultivated apples that people have grown for thousands of years. Its natural resilience and unique traits continue to amaze scientists around the world. While many modern apple varieties have lost their natural defenses, the wild Sivers apple has retained them. That is why researchers from abroad come here not only to visit, but to unlock the many secrets this remarkable tree still holds.
Есть, конечно, очень большой интерес именно со стороны.
There is a tremendous interest in the Sivers apple among our international colleagues. Whenever they hear about it, they want to come here, see it with their own eyes, and collect research material. The Sivers apple is a unique breeding resource for developing improved apple varieties.
Это уникальный селекционный материал для получения улучшенных сортов.
As far as I know, there is no pure Sivers lines in the United States. However, many of the modern varieties of the American apples came from or cultivated from that particular tree. So, plus, as far as I know, there was several expeditions by the American botanists who took quite a few, in tenth of thousands of seeds of this particular wonderful apple.
The Sivers apple is not only the ancestor of thousands of apple varieties around the world, it is also the forefather of the famous Almaty apport, one of Kazakhstan's greatest symbols. This wild apple helped shape the apport's remarkable size and distinctive flavor.
И апорт, конечно, он является, он произошел от яблони Сиверса. Вообще апорт очень у него.
The apport apple is indeed descended from the Sivers apple. Its history is actually quite fascinating. Many people believe it was brought to Kazakhstan from Russia.
По идее, вообще апорт, он.
There are also publications suggesting that apport originally came from France. Even the name apport is often linked to French origins. The variety was brought to Russia first, and later, according to one account, an amateur gardener named Redko introduced it to Kazakhstan. Once here, carrying the genes of the Sivers apple, the apport revealed its finest qualities. It adapted exceptionally well to local conditions and began producing very large fruits, sometimes weighing as much as 450 to 500 grams.
Хорошо, и получались очень большие плоды, там до 450 грамм, 500 грамм. Сейчас мы находимся в коллекционном фонде имени Аймак.
We are now in the Aymak Zhangaliyev collection of wild fruit plants of Kazakhstan. This collection preserves 170 clones of the Sivers apple, and each one is different from their others. Right now, we're standing next to a clone variety called Zhengarian Purple. It is a patented variety, a very well-known and distinctive one. As you can see, it's highly ornamental and could be used for urban landscaping. In terms of its beauty, it's every bit as impressive as Japanese cherry blossoms. We're collecting flowers for analysis, and these samples are enough for our research. We will also analyze other clones growing in the collection.
Другие клоны, которые имеются в нашем саду.
We have now arranged the flowers and are photographing and recording them.
Сделаем несколько кадров, чтобы выбрать из них самые хорошие.
We take several shots and then select the best images.
Номер фото. И теперь мы такой процесс.
After that, we logged the photo number. This is the same procedure we follow with every clone in the collection. Our committee regularly receives requests from research institutes, including international organizations and countries such as Germany, regarding the study of the Sivers apple. At present, research is being carried out in the Zhongar Alatau, Ili Alatau, and Tarbagatai mountain regions, and we are actively exchanging knowledge and experience with our partners.
Today, the Sivers apple is more than just a protected species. It has become an important genetic resource for future food production and biotechnology. Scientists are studying not only its natural resilience, but also its unique health-promoting properties. This is not just about science, it is also about the future of food security. Research has shown that wild Sivers apple contains significantly higher levels of vitamins and beneficial compounds than the apples commonly found in stores.
What makes the Sivers apple truly unique is its remarkable genetic diversity within a single species. It varies greatly in size, taste, and color. The larger fruits are ideal as stable apples. They can be grown and sold fresh in markets. There is also a large group of apples that are excellent for processing. They can be used to make juices, wines, cider, jams, fruit preserves, fruit leather, and pectin. The Sivers apple is also unique in its biochemical composition. It differs significantly from cultivated apples. For example, it contains twice as much vitamin C and 7 times more polyphenols. That makes it an exceptionally healthy fruit.
Today, scientists continue to study the Sivers apple's genetic wealth, beneficial properties, and future potential. But the true value of this wild tree was not discovered overnight. It took years of research and dedication for scientists to uncover the secrets hidden within it.
Let's briefly look at the story behind the apple that amazed the world. Johann Sivers was a well-known pharmacist and Russian explorer. During his journey through this region in 1793, he encountered the wild apple tree in the Tarbagatai mountains. In his journal, he wrote that this land was the homeland of the wild apple. Later, the Russian scientist Nikolai Vavilov continued the research and confirmed that these apples naturally grow in the Zhetysu region. Nikolai Vavilov first came to Kazakhstan in 1929. When he arrived in the Tarbagatai mountains and saw the Sivers apple tree, he said that one could clearly see it was already suited for cultivation in orchards. He compared it with apple varieties growing in the Ryazan region of Russia. After Vavilov, the work was carried forward by Aymak Zhangaliyev, who dedicated his life to studying and preserving the Sivers apple.
For Aymak Zhangaliyev, the Sivers apple was far more than a scientific subject. In many ways, it changed the course of his life. After attending a lecture by Nikolai Vavilov as a young student, he dedicated himself to studying Kazakhstan's wild apple forests. His contribution to introducing the Sivers apple to the world was truly extraordinary.
He first learned about the Sivers apple while studying at the Timiryazov Academy. There he attended a lecture and heard Nikolai Vavilov speak about this remarkable wild apple. He immediately fell in love with it and decided to devote his life to its study and preservation.
Aymak Zhangalievich – это человек, который познакомил весь мир.
Aymak Zhangaliyev was the person who introduced the Sivers apple to the world. He began his research in 1946 and continued it for more than 60 years. Throughout his life, he remained devoted to this wild apple tree and never stopped studying it. Thanks to his work, we now have much of the scientific and practical knowledge that exists about the Sivers apple today.
Aymak Jangaliyev's decades of work attracted the attention of scientists around the world. The international expeditions he organized brought samples of Zhetysu's wild apple forests to research laboratories across Europe and the United States. These studies eventually provided the scientific proof that the Sivers apple is the ancestor of today's cultivated apple varieties.
И в свое время Аймак Жангалиевич запатентовал 27 сортов клонов яблони Сиверса.
Aymak Jangaliev patented 27 clone varieties of the Sivers apple. The world came to recognize the Sivers apple largely through the international expeditions he led. Scientists from the United States, Europe, and many other countries took part in 7 expeditions under his leadership. They collected genetic material and studied it in 24 international laboratories. Those studies ultimately confirmed that the Sivers apple is the ancestor of many cultivated apple varieties grown around the world today.
Народные лаборатории доказали то, что яблоня Сиверса является прародительницей многих культурных сортов яблони.
The world has recognized the importance of the Sivers apple. But one question remains: how do we protect the very wild tree that gave humanity thousands of cultivated apple varieties? The natural forests that have covered the slopes of Zhetysu and Tarbagatay for centuries are no longer what they once were. The Sivers apple is becoming increasingly rare.
В данный момент яблоня Сиверса находится в таком очень...
At the moment, the Sivers apple is in a very vulnerable state. Back in 1981, Aymak Jangaliev succeeded in having it included in Kazakhstan's red list. Even then, he was sounding the alarm and calling for the protection of this unique wild apple species. Unfortunately, the degradation of its natural populations continues to this day.
Природных популяций, она идет, к сожалению, до сих пор.
Today, the global apple industry faces a serious challenge. Years of crossbreeding and selection have weakened the natural immunity of cultivated apples. The wild Sivers apple, however, remains one of the few sources of genetic resistance capable of protecting orchards from devastating diseases.
То есть на данный момент яблочная индустрия, она терпит убытки из-за
At present, the apple industry is suffering significant losses from pests and diseases. As a result of inbreeding and repeated crossbreeding, many cultivated varieties have lost their natural resistance. One of the greatest threats today is fire blight. In Europe, entire orchards are being destroyed because of it. The Sivers apple is a unique source of genes that can provide resistance to this disease.
И как раз-таки яблоня Сиверса – это уникальный источник генов устойчивости против этого бактериального ожога.
Under Article 339 of the Criminal Code and the Law on Plant Life, there are penalties for the illegal use of rare and endangered plant species. A total of 387 plant species are red-listed in Kazakhstan, including 65 medicinal plants. Illegal destruction, cutting, or damage to the species can result in fines and even imprisonment for up to 3 years.
В прошлом году министр экологии и природных ресурсов издал
Last year, the Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources issued an order prohibiting the export of any biological material from Kazakhstan. As a result, our collection remains unique not only in Kazakhstan but also worldwide. It preserves rare Sivers apple clones that have been maintained since 1946. Today, our main goal is to protect this collection, expand it, and ensure that it continues to serve the interests of our country.
И, конечно же, использовать на благо нашей страны.
Мемлекет башчысымыз экологиялық тепе-теңдікті
The head of state places great importance on maintaining ecological balance and protecting biodiversity. In this regard, the Forestry and Wildlife Committee, together with protected natural areas and international scientific organizations, is carrying out large-scale and systematic research and monitoring programs aimed at conserving, protecting, and restoring the Sivers apple.
келтіру бойынша ауқымды жүйелі жұмыстар жүргізілуде.
Protecting the Sivers apple requires more than laws and red list status. The most important task is to introduce this natural heritage to future generations and inspire a new generation of scientists to study the apple's ecosystem. To achieve this, national parks and research institutions are carrying out extensive work in education, conservation, and scientific research.
Education is a major part of our work. Our national park has an official website, and we're also active on social media, where we regularly share information about the Sivers apple and its conservation. Our research department conducts scientific studies, publishes research papers, and carries out ongoing monitoring of wild apple populations. We also take part in conferences and other scientific events. A large part of our work involves outreach. We organize lectures, environmental workshops, and educational excursions. These programs are open not only to children, but also to students, international visitors, and local residents.
Nature is an extraordinary world. In its own way, it responds to care and devotion. Remarkably, the year Aymag Jangaliev passed away, the Sivers apple trees bloomed more abundantly than ever before. It was as if the wild apple forests were paying tribute to the man who devoted his life to protecting them.
I draw my energy from the Sivers apple tree. In my 18 years here, I have seen our orchard bloom like this only twice. The first time was the year Aymag Jangaliev passed away. Every single tree was covered in blossoms. It was an unforgettable sight. Somehow it felt as though the apple trees were thanking their guardian for everything he had done for them. And the second time was this year. Once again, every tree burst into bloom, just as it did back then. As I mentioned earlier, the Sivers apple is a unique genetic resource recognized internationally, and one of the plant species is red-listed. That is why I would like to encourage everyone to treat nature responsibly, pay greater attention to environmental protection, and do their part to keep our environment clean. Respect for nature should live in every person's heart. I believe that loving the history and nature of your homeland is the responsibility of each and every one of us.
It will be my 30th year in Houston, Texas, well, in the United States, let's put it this way. And I really love nature of Kazakhstan. I'm trying to come to Kazakhstan as often as I can, and I really like Kazakhstan nature. Kazakhstan is a beautiful country. Well, I'm participating in popularizing Kazakhstan as the country.
The Sivers apple has survived for millions of years and still blooms today on the mountain slopes of Zhetysu. Once overlooked as nothing more than a wild tree, it has now become a natural treasure recognized around the world. Every blossom and every branch seems to connect the past with the future. Perhaps that is why no one who comes here sees the Sivers apple as just a tree. Some see science in it, others see the beauty of nature, and the wild apple forests blooming across these valleys remind us of something important, that nature is worth protecting. Is it tasty? Very tasty. Of course it is. But you're not eating just any apple. You're standing in the orchard of the ancestor of all apples, the Sivers apple. Really? I thought I was just eating an apple. Grandpa, how do you know all this? Is this your orchard? You could say that, except I left it behind long ago. But I can see it's still being well cared for. It's a beautiful orchard. Then I'll help you protect it too. My dear boy, if the next generation is anything like you, I'm sure this orchard will flourish for many years to come.